Hey guys, I'm Yuruzi. Another new series today. What if Naruto was a mimic ninja? Sharingan, one of the most renowned doujutsu of the ninja world. In Naruto's world, its copying abilities may be pushed to the side thanks to one blonde ninja. In a ninja world just as technological as ours, Naruto will become a legend. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 1, Henge to a new level. Well, looks like I have a rival for Hokage, said a blonde-haired ninja as he walked towards his house. Naruto had just gotten finished with, in his mind, owning that pervert with the sunglasses. As he thought about how he beat him, Naruto couldn't help but smile. Ha, see, I knew all grown-ups were perverts. That showed them, haha. As Naruto reached his apartment, he was struck by a thought about the attack that he had been using for some years now. Oryoke no Jutsu, sexy jutsu. I know I based it off the henge, but I always thought that henge was an illusion. I know I stayed up for that class cause they were talking about jutsu. Naruto shrugged off the thought and walked into his apartment to get ready to watch one of his favorite shows. As he heated up some water on the stove, he turned on his small TV. While he waited for his hot water for his precious ramen, he watched the opening for the show One Piece. The water on the kettle whistled and he got his ramen ready as he watched his favorite character, Luffy, perform one of his standard moves, the Goma Goma no Pistoru, Gum Gum Pistol. Naruto watched as Luffy swung his right arm back far away from his body, then shoot it forward into one of his enemies. Naruto laughed and ate while he watched the rest of his show, unknowingly while the gears in his head slowly spun, an idea formulating. With his dinner done and show over, he went to one of his favorite training spots to get ready for his big test tomorrow, still fuming over the fact that he wasn't a true genin. Fucking Kakashi-sensei saying that we aren't genin, I'll show him what the next Hokage can do. As he said this, he pounded against the training log relentlessly with his fist. This went on until Naruto started to incorporate kicks into the frenzy against the training log. With his punches and kicks going, he started to tire out on beating on a target that did nothing back. So making a hand seal, he called out Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. With that, the training ground was filled with 24 Narutos. Yosh! Ready guys! Naruto called out to, well, himself. There was a cry of HAI from amongst the clones and then the battle started. With a cry, Naruto ran at one of his clones, punching it in the face, launching that clone at another, making those both disappear in a cloud of smoke. Pulling out a kunai from the pouch on his right thigh, he threw it at one clone who took that to the forehead and also disappeared. While the real Naruto's attention was on the clone he just killed, 2 more came from above and prepared to pounce on him. Naruto sensed it and with a quick backhand spring he dodged and flew into the air while pulling out a handful of shuriken and throwing them at the 2 clones. The shuriken struck the clones, causing them to disperse. As Naruto landed on the ground, he received a kick to the stomach, causing him to fly into a punch to the face from another clone. Shit, that hurt! Moaned Naruto as he got up from the ground. He growled and pulled a kunai out in each hand, sliding them into a reverse grip, and ran into the small crowd. As the fight continued, there were only 2 clones and the original left. Naruto grinned and ran at the 2 clones. What happened next started a chain of events that would lead to the evolution of Naruto and his world. The 2 clones jumped into the air with one having his hands placed into the ram sign. Henge, transform. The clone to the right called, transforming into a large Fuma shuriken. The remaining clone grabbed the large shuriken that looked a lot like the one the traitor Mizuki used and threw the shuriken at Naruto. Now Naruto just this evening was having thoughts about the henge, and he kept having thoughts about how it was supposed to be an illusion technique like a genjutsu. However, his mind was giving him the warning bells that told him to duck. Ducking quickly, Naruto heard a thunk and looked to see the shuriken lodged deep into the tree behind him. Gaping in surprise, Naruto called the clone over to him. Hey, how'd you do that? Naruto asked. Nay. What do you mean, boss? We just transformed into something else. Replied the clone. Well, yeah, but henge isn't supposed to completely change your whole being, right? The clone just shrugged and dispelled itself, sensing that the fight was over. Naruto, however, sat under the tree that the shuriken hit, the object disappearing long ago, and thought about the possibilities of this new phenomenon, not that he knew what that was. With the ability to change something into a totally new thing, he could figure out some new attacks. And with that in mind, Naruto stood in the middle of the field trying to transform his right arm into something that resembled one of his favorite characters, Luffy. Naruto had tried to transform his whole body into what he believed to be rubber, but that failed, and the backlash of trying to transform into something so different from his body caused him to immediately vomit from the backlash of the jutsu. Hours of the night passed before he recovered, and with that in mind he only tried to transform his right arm on his next attempt. Thinking of the properties of rubber and the way that Luffy's arm looked like, he gathered his chakra and made the hand sign calling out henge. A small poof of smoke surrounded his right arm, showing that the long sleeve from his orange jumpsuit had disappeared, leaving only his bare arm visible. It seemed that his jumpsuit's right side had become like a vest resembling Luffy's. Okay, now let's see. I think I got the structure right, and I thought about how Luffy's body is made of rubber. Naruto said between breaths. Now rubber is real stretchy and can bend and stretch back into its regular shape. That's how he is able to use his moves, well, from the episodes that I've seen so far. Naruto rolled his shoulder, testing out the balance, and thought about what to do next. He could feel that his right arm was different from his left, even when he rolled up his left sleeve, and could see that they looked the same. After a couple minutes of thinking about what to do, Naruto rolled his neck and looked at the training post. Grasping his right shoulder, he clenched his fist, and with a deep breath he started his experiment. Goma Goma no. Naruto swung his right arm back, stretching it as far as he could, and apparently from what he could see and feel, that was pretty far. After stretching it back, he swung his fist forward, lashing out the clenched fist, backed up with the tension and momentum that was gained from the arm stretching that far back. Pistaru. With that great shout, Naruto's fist hit the post while he was some meters away. With that attack, Naruto's goal seemed even closer to him. On this day he gained his first long-range attack and opened the doors to amazing possibilities to himself. I'm going to be the best Hokage ever. Naruto screamed into the sky while his right arm turned back to normal. After that shout, Naruto eagerly continued to practice his new technique. Chapter 2, Test with a Twist, Unleash Gomu. We find our lovable hero sleeping, having wonderful dreams of becoming the Hokage, mixed in with the odd number of 730. He doesn't seem to know why that number is important though, that is until his shining azure eyes open to the sun and see that it is 720. His brain then decides to start up and remind him that he has a meeting his team for their test in 10 minutes. Aw! Fucking shit, I'm late. Naruto screamed out, causing the birds in a nearby tree to fly away in fright. Naruto scrambled to get ready. After a quick shower and changing into his clothes, he grabbed a piece of toast, completely forgetting what Kakashi said about not eating. With a quick turn of the lock on his apartment door, Uzumaki Naruto was off to meet his team in Training Ground 7. Currently in Training Ground 7 we can find two young people trying not to fall asleep. One was a young girl with bubblegum pink hair. She wore a red battle dress with black tights under. Her kunai pouch was strapped to her right thigh with her hitayate used as a hairband to hold her hair, and her emerald eyes showed a high amount of anger. This girl is Haruno Sakura. Across from her is a young boy with black hair that is spiked oddly in the back but let loose in the front. He had a blue shirt on with white shorts, and his kunai pouch was strapped to the same thigh as Sakura. His hitayate was used as headband to cover his forehead. His onyx eyes showed seriousness with a touch of smugness, and a bit of weariness, although he'd never admit it. This boy's name is Uchiha Sasuke. They both snapped out of their thoughts when an orange blur dropped from the sky and skidded to a halt in front of them both. His bright blonde hair was spiked in all directions with his hitayate covering his forehead. His clear azure eyes were closed, giving an impression of a fox while he scratched the back of his head in embarrassment, this apparently being a reflex for him. He wore a bright orange jumpsuit with a splash of navy blue. His kunai pouch was also strapped to his right thigh. Opening his eyes, Naruto was rewarded with two pairs of angry eyes. Chuckling nervously, he slowly walked to one of the 3 training logs that were lined up in a row. He sat down, leaning against the middle one. Naruto was exhausted. He had spent hours on end last night trying to master his new move and trump card, and with enough practice he could reliably transform one of his arms into the rubber counterpart of one of his favorite TV characters. Though it was difficult and he couldn't keep his arm like that for too long right now. As Naruto rested against the log, Sakura was getting angrier and angrier. Not only did Naruto almost come late, but it was now 8 o'clock and their sensei wasn't here. Oh, I am going to kill that man, Sakura thought as a dark cloud formed above her. Shinero. How dare that bastard make us wait? And making our precious Sasuke-kun wait. Inner Sakura voiced in her opinion. At the mention of Sasuke, Sakura looked over and blushed, daydreaming about the Uchiha boy. As she drifted off in her own thoughts, Sasuke was closing his eyes thinking about how he could become stronger. I must get stronger to defeat him. And if my sensei isn't fucking here, how can I get stronger? Sasuke wouldn't say this out loud, but due to his annoyance his anger took over his mind. It was now 9:30, 2 hours after Kakashi had told Squad 7 to meet. As Naruto plotted on how to prank him and Sakura had daydreams about beating the hell out of him and Sasuke started to clench his fist, Hatake Kakashi decided to poof into the training ground. Hatake Kakashi was dressed in the usual jounin garb but had his hitayate covering his left eye. His silver hair was gravity-defying and his lower half of his face was covered by a face mask. His right eye was curved in a U signifying that he was smiling and was classified as his eye smile. Hello my cute little students, how are you this morning? Kakashi said to the 3 young genin. He then noticed the dark air around the 3. You're late! Yelled out Naruto and Sakura while Sasuke's eye twitched. Kakashi waved his hands in front of him trying to calm them down while smiling in his head. With the genin calmed down, Kakashi had them gather around him to explain the test. Now kids, I told you before that we have a test that would determine your future, right? Kakashi asked the 3 young teens. He received a group of nods and with that he pulled out 2 shiny, silver bells. Now your test is to get these bells from me and I warn you if you don't come at me with the intent to kill, he stated, you will fail. Kakashi's words hit them like a brick. The intent to kill? How could he ask them to do that? Naruto closed his eyes and thought long and hard about what was just said. Can I really fight with that kind of intent? Naruto thought. Looking up, Naruto remembered what he went through to get the headband he was wearing. With determined eyes he pulled out his kunai and got ready to attack, but before he could do anything his arm was seized and held behind him. I didn't say go yet did I, but I'm glad you know what to do, Eni. Kakashi said from behind Naruto. All 3 genin's eyes widened in awe. He is strong. He must have been faking when he got hit by that eraser. Sasuke thought. F fast. Sakura thought. While Naruto was being held down, he could already feel what was going to happen during this test. Hell, let's go then. Naruto yelled. Oh well then, shall we begin? Kakashi said, letting go of Naruto. And with that there were only 2 puffs of dust as 2 genin ran into the foliage for cover. The reason for that is a certain blonde-haired genin was still standing in front of his silver-haired sensei with a triumphant smirk. Come on sensei, just you and me. Yelled out Naruto. You're a little off, aren't you? Kakashi said, scratching his head. The only thing off is your hair. I'm gonna kick your ass. Naruto exclaimed as he ran at Kakashi. Kakashi scratched his head while his potential student ran at him but shrugged it off as he reached into his back hip pouch. Okay then. Lesson 1, Taijutsu, said Kakashi, slowly pulling out an item. Taijutsu. That's hand-to-hand combat, then why is he pulling out a weapon? Naruto thought, slowing down his run to be ready. In a flash Kakashi had an orange book with the title Ika Ika Paradise written on it. This caused a face fault with the 3 students. A book, all 3 of them thought. What the fuck are you doing? Naruto asked. Kakashi looked up from his book and shrugged. Well, I want to know what's going to happen next, but don't worry, you won't even lay a scratch on me. Kakashi said in a bored tone. With that said, Naruto saw red. With a fierce cry Naruto ran at the one-eyed jounin and went in for straight punch while running, thus lifting him off the ground. Kakashi dodged to the left but was a bit surprised when Naruto, using the momentum of his punch, leaned forward and landed on the hand he punched with. Naruto then pushed himself up so he was vertical and spun around, flying out his legs, putting him into a helicopter kick. With a quick block with his forearm, Kakashi pushed the leg off, causing Naruto to spin the other way and making him pop back up on his feet. Spinning around, Naruto flew out his right arm for a haymaker that was also blocked. However, after he tried to follow that up with a left snap kick, Kakashi ducked under the leg and was momentarily lost from Naruto's view. Up in the treetops, both Sasuke and Sakura looked on at the one-sided fight. In their own minds the thoughts were a bit differing. Wow, so he wasn't kidding when he wanted us to actually come at him seriously. But still, Naruto's taijutsu isn't so bad. My Sasuke-kuns must be off the hook though. Cha! Nobody can beat our Sasuke-kun, were Sakura's and inner Sakura's thoughts. Sasuke on the other hand was trying to look for any openings while thinking, that dobe has some surprising moves, but I don't think they can work on a jounin. Hey wait, that hand sign. As Sasuke thought this, both him and Sakura saw Kakashi move behind Naruto with his hands in the tiger hand sign. Both of them knew that hand sign usually signified a very destructive jutsu, and with Kakashi being right behind Naruto there was nowhere for him to run. This led to Sakura screaming out a warning for him to run away. Naruto, run! Get out of there! Sakura screamed, frightened for the blonde. With a look behind him, Naruto saw Kakashi with his hands in the seal ready to initiate his attack. Naruto's face turned scared as he dreaded what was going to happen next. However, what happened next was a surprise to all but Kakashi. Don't get caught from behind, Naruto. Konoha Taijutsu no Ugi, Senengoroshi, Konoha's ultimate taijutsu, 1000 years of death. Kakashi yelled out, jamming his fingers where the sun don't shine. With a burst of chakra, Naruto was sent flying into the lake in the training ground, screaming in undeserved pain. With a sweat drop, both Sasuke and Sakura thought the same exact thing. What the hell was that? Fuck, that hurt. But I can't give up. I'll never give up. Ever. With that thought, Naruto set his plan in motion, determination shining in his eyes. As Naruto slowly pulled himself out of the water, Kakashi stood over him with his famous orange book. So Naruto, are you still going to kick my ass as you say? Kakashi drawled out while turning a page. Shut up. I can do it. Naruto yelled out, balling his fist. I see, but can your skills back up your words? From what I can see, you inani. Kakashi was cut off from his speech when another Naruto caught him from behind. Naruto jumped up with a triumphant smirk on his face while putting his hands in the cross-shaped seal and calling out Kagebunshin no Jutsu, 5 more Narutos appearing. With a great cry, all the clones latched onto the surprised sensei. In the trees, the 2 other genin were completely baffled on what happened. What? How did Naruto do that? Are those real clones? Sakura thought. Real clones? How did the dobe figure that out? Sasuke wondered in envy. Here I come, Kakashi-sensei. The real Naruto sprinted towards his sensei and pulled back his fist. With a loud crack, Naruto smashed his fist into Naruto. With a yell, he henged. The Narutos got into a fight trying to figure out who the real Naruto was. While this was going, Sasuke thought, what an idiot. Kakashi used Kawarimi no Jutsu and that dobe can't figure it out. While Sasuke watched, Naruto got rid of the clones, then proceeded to fall into a trap, and Kakashi showed up to talk to Naruto. This was his chance. Sasuke launched 3 shuriken with a flick of his wrist and they were sent flying at the silver-haired man. As Naruto yelled in surprise, Sasuke saw that Kakashi had used a replacement again and now no doubt knew where he was. With that thought in mind, Sasuke ran off. After untying himself from the noose trap, Naruto finally got himself to the ground and looked to the sky. Ma. I don't have much time left, do I? I need to do something fast. Naruto sighed, then jumped back to his feet and trekked off towards the woods enclosing Training Ground 7. As he came across a clearing, he saw a sight that would be with him forever. Sasuke was neck deep in the dirt while Sakura was foaming at the mouth in front of the Rookie of the Year. His laughter lasted a good while before he finally dug Sasuke out and woke up Sakura. So, seriously, what are we going to do? Naruto asked. Do what you like, but I work alone, Sasuke replied. But Sasuke-kun, even all 3 of us were no match for Kakashi-sensei. Sakura said. With his #1 fangirl's exclamation ringing in his mind, Sasuke stopped dead in his tracks and grit his teeth. With all of his willpower, he turned around and faced the other 2 potential genins. Okay then. What would you guys propose? Sasuke asked. With confused looks, each person looked to the other for an answer, but no one knew what to say. The 3 potential genin were trying to figure out what to do, but while this was happening, Kakashi was standing in the middle of the training ground, reading his book. With a snap of his fingers, Naruto got an idea, a totally random one, but hey, if it works. I got it, he said. And with that he laid the plan out for them. I wonder where they are. They don't have very much time left, so what will they do? Kakashi said aloud. His musings were cut short when a rain of shuriken came down on him. With a cry, Naruto flew out of the trees with Sakura throwing 2 kunai in support. The kunai missed Kakashi and stuck off of something behind him, making the Jounin look to see Sasuke coming at him with a flying kick. Quickly placing his book in his pocket, Kakashi blocked the kick, but this left him open to Naruto's axe kick from above. Grabbing Sasuke's ankle, Kakashi threw Sasuke into Naruto. As those two fell into a heap, Sakura jumped over them and bombarded Kakashi with shuriken. Sasuke quickly jumped off of Naruto and ran towards the fight. With Kakashi backing up towards the two kunai that were stuck in a tree behind him, Sasuke kicked him back farther, making the Jounin slide back a bit. Sakura then pulled a ninja wire that was connected to the kunai, tripping Kakashi and having them latch onto his pants. With a quick burst of speed, Sasuke kicked Kakashi into Naruto, who had moved into position while the man was distracted, his hands into the cross seal. Kagebunshin no Jutsu. Naruto yelled. 5 clones jumped from the ninja smoke, kicking the stunned Jounin up and over to Sasuke, who was already completing a set of seals, ending on the tiger seal. Katon, Hausenka no Jutsu. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Sasuke then shot off 3 small fireballs that impacted Kakashi in the air. Naruto! Now! Sasuke yelled. Naruto jumped off each of his clones like a step ladder and flew above Kakashi with his hands in the ram's seal. Cutting into her hands a bit, Sakura used the wires that were latched onto the Jounin's pants and made it so that she could wrap the wires around him. She gasped in pain, but bared with it to make sure that this plan would work. Henge! Naruto called out, transforming his right arm into its Luffy mimicry. His sleeve was gone, leaving his whole arm showing. He didn't stop there, and with a cry of Gomu Gomu no, he swung his arm far back, stretching it to the surprise of everyone. What the hell? Kakashi thought. With a shout of Pisatru. Naruto shot his arm down with the greatest of speed, slamming into the Jounin and sending him dropping like a rock towards the other 2 genin. This is it, Naruto thought as his arm snapped back and returned to its normal state. Your turn, Sasuke. I sent him down, and now. As Naruto thought this, Sasuke tensed up his legs and watched their sensei fall with his stronger eyes. Grab it. As that thought flashed across Naruto's mind, Sasuke dove towards Kakashi and grabbed the bells while Naruto landed with a soft thump. Well dope, Sasuke smiled, looks like your crazy plan worked. Naruto jumped into the air with a yell and ran towards their fallen sensei. With a burst of chakra, Kakashi broke the wire and got out of the small crater he made. You guys actually worked together and you got the bells. Kakashi said. Come here, Sakura. As Sakura got her hands wrapped, Naruto and Sasuke crowded around their sensei. Once he was finished, the 3 genin looked up at him. So sensei, do we pass? Sakura asked hopefully. With a Kakashi looked at all 3 of them. They did well and he was quite proud. With a smile, Kakashi gave a curt nod. Yes, congratulations. Team 7 is officially started. Chapter 3, Old Drunks, Explanations, and I am strong enough. This is Brood. Target is in sight. Blossom here, I am behind the target. Orange above target. Orange, you are bit late, but ready. Team on 3. Brood again, just wanted to ask who gave us these names. Behind a tree, Kakashi smiled while reading his book. That's not important. Just be ready. 1. All 3 genin tensed up. 2. Eyes zeroed in on the target. 3. Go go. 3 blurs rushed from the trees and pounced onto a thrashing ball of fur. Blossom here, target is neutralized. Rang and Sakura while watching the menace known as Tora / wildly at Naruto while Sasuke tried to pull the cat off and getting scratched himself. Good job team, let's head to the Hokage. Kakashi said, humming and reading his book. But his reading was interrupted when he heard, can we get a better mission? Hokage's office. Good job Team 7. The Hokage said as the team watched Tora getting crushed by his owner. Yes, crush him. Crush him. Naruto thought with a crazed look in his eyes. Out of nowhere he started to laugh maniacally as Tora whined in despair. Slowly backing away from Naruto, the rest of Team 7 awaited their next mission. Well, now that the mission is over, how about another one, at Team 7? Asked the aged Hokage. Looking up, he saw a nod from Kakashi signaling him to go on. Well, we have weeding some gardens, walking dogs, planting some of the Yamanaka's flowers, oh and… No. I am not doing another stupid mission. I'm a ninja now, right? And ninjas don't do these kinds of things. Naruto screamed, completely cutting off the Hokage. A sweat drop formed on the rest of Team 7, but two of them had the same thoughts as Naruto. You know I'm strong enough now, Aji-san, and I need to show this village what kind of awesome Hokage I can be. The dobe is right, I need to get stronger, and this isn't the ideal way. Sasuke thought. Stupid Naruto is going to get us in trouble, as right as he is, Shinero. I want to show Sasuke-kun how cool I am. Iruka stood up and threw a pencil at Naruto, smacking him in the forehead for the outburst. Naruto! Don't you know the way that missions work? I taught this to you all in class. In fact, all three of you should know this. Explaining to Team 7 of the dynamics of the missions and the way missions were assigned, Iruka finished up and opened his eyes to see Naruto talking about ramen and the rest of the team listening intently to him. Face faulting, Iruka yelled at them to get their attention. Oh, you're done, Iruka-san. Drawled Kakashi, causing a tick mark to grow on Iruka's head. Now Iruka, it's okay. So you all think you are ready for AC rank? Well then Iruka, send in the client. As the door opened, Naruto and the others watched as a tall older man with a shock of gray hair walked in carrying a sake bottle. Team 7, meet your charge, Tazuna. As the older man walked into the office, the smell of alcohol wafted off of his fisherman's garb. Tazuna looked at the people in front of him and his nose wrinkled in disgust. These are my guards, Hokage-sama. They all look incompetent, mostly the short one. Ha ha ha, who's the short one? Naruto laughed before looking to his side and seeing that his companions were slightly taller than him. Trying and failing, Naruto clawed at the old man while Kakashi held him back. This is going to be a long trip, Kakashi thought. Whatever. Well, I'm Tazuna the Great Bridge Builder, and I'll see you all at the gates to protect me then, if you can. Wahoo! Time to head out of here. Naruto yelled as he led the team out of the gates. Smiling and looking at the passing trees, he couldn't help but be excited for this new mission. He had hated the last month of tedious D-rank missions and had trained hard to show his stuff. Though he didn't want to show his team just yet, he has been working on a new jutsu. He'd got the idea from Yu Yu Hakusho, but sadly he hasn't completed it yet. As Naruto drifted through his thoughts, Sasuke looked over the scenery and thought about his own goals. This mission is perfect, I can test myself and see how strong I am, how much stronger I need to become. Walking slowly down the road, Sakura started to converse with Tazuna about his country. As they got to the topic of there not being any ninjas in Wave, a puddle that they were passing suddenly exploded outward, two ninjas emerging, each with a gauntlet on opposing hands. A chain that was connecting the two brothers wrapped around Kakashi's body, and with a swift flick of their wrists, Kakashi was torn to pieces. A shrill scream from Sakura pierced the air as Kakashi's body parts fell to the ground. Naruto looked over to see Tazuna and Sakura, both looking pale, and then looked at Sasuke, who was looking at the ground in disbelief. He couldn't blame the guy, right now he was scared out of his mind. One down, one of the ninjas whispered. Looking at the rest of the team, the two rogue ninjas ran towards them, and number 2 is next. As the two ninjas ran at Naruto, he suddenly froze. What's going on? Why can't I move? Am I scared? Am I going to die? As Naruto struggled to move, Sasuke appeared in front of him and split-kicked the ninja's back. In one deft motion he then threw a shuriken to pin down the chain to a tree, and then a kunai inside the ring of the shuriken to give it extra weight. Seeing this show of skill in front of him, Naruto shook his head and pulled out his own kunai. He wasn't going to be outdone by Sasuke, not like this. Rubbing their heads, the rogue ninjas detached from their chain and ran in opposite directions. Sharing a look with Sasuke, Naruto stayed in his place while Sasuke ran towards their charge. Naruto quickly threw a kunai at the man to keep him at a distance. While the man jumped into the air, Naruto performed a jutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Two clones popped up in the air behind the man and started to confront him. Tying a wire to a kunai, Naruto lobbed it at the man's feet. The kunai stuck by his foot and the wire caused him to stumble enough for one clone to grab his head and slam his knee into the ninja's face, slightly shocking him for a second. This was Naruto's chance, and with his hands in the ram seal he called out henge. His right arm was covered in a puff of smoke, and as the smoke cleared, his arm was revealed to show that his sleeve was gone and in Luffy mode. While the rogue ninja was disoriented, the two clones that were attacking the rogue grabbed his arms and held him steady while Naruto pulled his arm back, yelling Goma Goma no. Shooting forward, the fist smashed into the man's face as Naruto called out, "Pistaru." Hit with all the released tension, the ninja flew back into a tree, crumpling into himself, but not before giving Naruto one last present. As Naruto took care of one ninja, Sasuke ran at the other and jump-kicked him in the face mask, causing him to choke and stumble. As Sasuke was still in the air, he ran through a quick series of hand seals, landing on the tiger seal. Katan, Housenka no Justu. Tumbling towards the ground, Sasuke shot off 2 small fireballs towards the ninja. One hit in the stomach while the other smashed into the ground next to him. Capitalizing on the ninja's weakness, Sasuke grabbed his arm and flipped the ninja over his shoulder, quickly kicking his chest while he landed. As the air left the ninja's lungs, he grabbed Sasuke's ankle and pulled. With a grunt, Sasuke fell and watched as the ninja rushed toward Sakura and Tazuna. Frightened beyond belief, but swallowing her fear, Sakura moved in front of Tazuna holding a kunai. Running with as much speed as he could pull from his reserves, Sasuke appeared in front of Sakura and Tazuna, tensing in anticipation. The rogue ninja raised his arm, but the blow never came. With a casual air, Kakashi's form appeared in front of the ninja, stopping him in his tracks with a clothesline. Well, you guys certainly took care of things," Kakashi said, looking around at his team's handiwork. "Kakashi-sensei!" Sakura screamed in surprise and relief. "Sensei, we thought you were dead." Naruto yelled as he ran towards his sensei in visible relief. Sasuke quickly scanned the ground where Kakashi perished and saw the remains of a poor log. Kawarimi no Jutsu, replacement jutsu. So fast. Sasuke whispered. His timing with the jutsu was incredible, and the afterimage it normally caused was so well timed that we all thought he died. That is what being a jounin is. Sasuke looked at his sensei with a bit more respect after that stunt. Walking over to his team while dragging the other ninja, Kakashi looked at each of them with a sense of pride. They all handled themselves well. Well, Naruto did freeze up in the beginning, so he was going to have to talk to him about that. "Kakashi-sensei, why didn't you help us?" Sakura asked. "Because I needed to see what these 2 ninjas wanted. Oh, and congrats on defeating your first pair of Chunin. These 2 are the missing ninjas known as the Demon Brothers, and if you'll excuse me, I need to have a talk with these 2. And with that, Kakashi walked behind the trees, taking along the unconscious brother by the tree. Watching their sensei leave with the 2 missing nin, Team 7 couldn't help a shiver running down their spines from the ominous feeling Kakashi's eye smile gave off. Kakashi came out from behind the tree and slowly walked to the group. "So Tazuna-san, it seems we have something to discuss." Naruto looked at Tazuna and saw sweat forming on his brow. Was he lying? Okay. "I'm sorry, but my village doesn't have enough money to pay for anything higher." And thus the story of Tazuna and his village was told. As the story ended, the team went into a huddle that caused Tazuna to face fault. "My story was super sad," and they huddle. "So what should we do?" "I'm not sure, he isn't lying about this." "Well, let's take a vote, team." After that, each team member approved for going on, and Kakashi turned around and gave Tazuna a pointed look. "Well, Tazuna-san, it seems like we are continuing the mission." "Yada! Let's go, guys. I'm not backing down from anything," Naruto yelled. "Everyone get ready. We're going to Nami." Naruto yelled as he threw up his arm. Kakashi quickly grabbed Naruto's right arm. "Naruto, did you know that you got cut?" Kakashi asked. Naruto shook his head and looked at the cut on his right hand. When the blonde started digging around in his pockets for a roll of bandages, Kakashi grabbed Naruto's arm. "Naruto, you should probably take care of the poison first." "Poison? What poison?" Naruto yelped, eyes wide. "The poison I noticed on the Demon Brothers' claw gauntlets while I was questioning them." Before the jounin could explain the appropriate first aid methods, Naruto snatched a kunai from his ammo pouch and stabbed it into the open wound, greatly increasing the blood flow. "Naruto!" Kakashi snapped, "That isn't the best way to treat a poisoned wound." Kakashi held up Naruto's bleeding hand. "You could bleed to death." "No, it's okay, sensei, when my arm is like this it's completely rubber. So it can withstand a bit more damage," Naruto said, moving it around to show that his arm was bleeding less than a normal arm. Forming a half-ram seal, Naruto dispelled his jutsu and his arm returned to normal, showing the injuries that were taken in the rubber form were the same in his normal form. Odd. If his arm was normal, then he would have bled more. And even when he transformed his arm back, the wound was exactly same as it was in his rubber mode. I need explanations. Kakashi shook his head and gestured for his group to follow him. Well, I left those demon brothers restrained and sent a message to Konoha. You all will receive a significant bonus for their capture. Looking back, he saw Sakura and Sasuke nod while they bandaged up Naruto's hand, and Naruto's extra big smile at all the extra money for ramen. With an exasperated sigh from Kakashi, they headed off further into wave. The boat's slow rocking against the waves was all that could be heard through the thick fog, well, that and the moans of Naruto as he tried not to hurl over the boat's edge. Guy, go slower, Naruto moaned. Shut up, Naruto baka. I'm tired of your whining. Sakura fumed while smacking Naruto upside the head. With a grunt of pain and a glare at Sakura, Naruto grumbled that Sasuke never got hit and such. Looking at the bridge that they were passing, Naruto couldn't believe the size of it. Whistling at the sight, he was shushed by the boat driver. Quiet. We are in wave territory now, so Gato's men are patrolling around here. The boat driver said in slight panic. With a quick nod, everyone quieted down and sat for the rest of the trip. As everyone got off and started walking, Kakashi looked to Naruto. Naruto, care to explain this technique of yours a little more? At this, the rest of the team turned to join Kakashi in looking at Naruto. Sasuke was curious on that attack of his. It could give him even more power to defeat his brother, and knowing the one-track mind Sasuke has, well, sensei, I'm just using the henge and transforming my arm. Naruto said, confused. He didn't exactly know what was wrong with his transformation. A transformation doesn't really change your body structure, dobe. Tell me what you are really doing. Sasuke growled, coming closer to Naruto. Back off, team. I just use henge and it changes. Want an up-close demonstration? Naruto spat back, placing his hands in the ram sign. He really hated it when Sasuke talked down to him. Plus the bastard was insulting his technique. Naruto, don't tell, Sakura started but was stopped by Kakashi. He had to admit even he wanted to see what Naruto did. Do it then. Fine. Henge no jutsu. In a cloud of smoke, Naruto's right arm transformed into Luffy mode. Holding it up to smack the other boy, he was taken aback by the poking he was getting from his sensei. Amazing, it feels just like rubber. Kakashi said as he pulled at it. With that, the rest of the team started to pull and tug at Naruto's arm while Tazuna watched with a sweat drop forming. This is what ninjas do. Shaking his head, he called to them. Oi, my village is close. How about we start moving now? Looking up, Team 7 scratched their heads sheepishly and started moving, all except Naruto, who was shaking his head in humiliation at being treated like a doll. Taking a step forward, he heard a noise and threw a kunai into the bushes. Everyone stopped moving again and looked up in alarm. Running towards his kunai, he was surprised and horrified to find a fluffy white bunny shaking in fear. No! Fluffy bunny! As Naruto grabbed the bunny into his arms, squeezing it, Sakura ran up to Naruto and hit him on the head for scaring everyone. Fortunately for everyone, Kakashi was analyzing the situation. White Rabbit, it's summer, they shouldn't be here. They're normally out in the winter, so that means. Everyone down. Right as Kakashi yelled those words, he ran and pulled down Tazuna and Sakura while Sasuke and Naruto hit the ground flat, avoiding the biggest sword any of them has ever seen. Looking up to see the sword slam and stick into the trunk of a tree, the team froze as killing intent permeated the air. Well, if it isn't Sharingan no Kakashi. What an honor. A figure flashed onto the embedded blade, revealing a well-muscled man with a headband and bandages covering the lower half of his face and trailing off of his shoulders. The headband showed the Mist Village symbol, but a slash through the mist sign gave this man the title of a missing nin. He was shirtless and had dark camo pants and sandals to finish his menacing look. Staring at the imposing man, Team 7 slowly stood up to face this new threat. Shaking his arm, Naruto's limb turned to normal in a puff of smoke. Tensing in anticipation, the young genins and jounin looked forward. It was time for the next battle. Momochi Zabuza had entered the picture. Chapter 4, Demon of Mist. Run in with a mimic. Staring at the imposing man, Team 7 slowly stood up to face this new threat. Shaking his arm, Naruto's arm turned to normal in a puff of smoke. Tensing in anticipation, the young genins and jounin looked forward. It was time for the next battle. Momochi Zabuza has entered the picture. So Sharingan Kakashi, I wouldn't have ever imagined I would be meeting you here, the missing nin stated, looking down at Team 7+1. Dropping down from the sword, Zabuza came falling down, slicing into the tree as he fell. As his feet touched the ground, he disappeared in a burst of speed and appeared in front of the team. Tensing up, Kakashi pulled out a kunai, his left hand reaching for his tilted headband. Hearing his team pull weapons, he turned to them and shook his head. "Stay out of this, you don't know what this man is capable of." Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the mist, the silver-haired sensei, spoke behind him. "Haha, so you know of me well, I'm honored, Kakashi," Zabuza stated. Kakashi frowned and pulled up his headband, revealing the covered eye. A closed eye with a scar running down it was revealed, and as it opened the Sharingan sprang into life, its 3 tomos spinning. "Ah, the Sharingan. I am honored, Kapinin, but it seems like I need to blind you then." "Kirigakure no jutsu!" yelled out Zabuza, holding his hands so that one half ram seal was above his head and another in front of his chest. An ominous mist slowly filled the area, covering everything from view. Sasuke gasped, his mind a mix of emotions. "Sharingan, what's that?" Naruto asked. "It is doujutsu that is special to the Uchiha family," Sasuke said. "It is said to be able to copy any nin, gen, or taijutsu. It gives the person the ability to perceive things faster, and some even think it can see into the future. But how does Sensei have it? Could he be an Uchiha?" "No, impossible. Then how?" "Well, your wonderful doujutsus may be able to do that, but it won't save you," Zabuza said, unleashing an insane amount of killing intent. Everyone froze as the killing intent, and Sasuke slowly reached for his kunai pouch as he thought, "I can't do this. This is what it's like when I know I'm going to die." "Sasuke. It's okay, I won't let anything happen to you, guy," Kakashi said, looking back at his team, eyes smiling. Strong words from a dead man, Zabuza stated, appearing between Kakashi and the rest of the team. With a slash of his sword, Kakashi was torn in two. Kakashi's body floated in the air before bursting in water. "Mizu Bunshin. To have copied my jutsu through mist." "Correct, Zabuza," Kakashi said as he appeared behind Zabuza, holding a kunai to his neck. What happened?" Naruto exclaimed. "As I said, the Sharingan allows for jutsu copying. Kakashi-sensei must have copied one of Zabuza's moves," Sasuke explained while the fight continued. As the two men exchanged blows, Kakashi was suddenly surprised and kicked onto a nearby lake. Sputtering, Kakashi pulled himself on top of the lake using chakra when he noticed that the water was heavier than normal. "Fool, this is my terrain." Tsuroi no Jutsu, Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi and put one hand forward as a globe of water formed and trapped the silver-haired man. "Shit!" Looking at his team, Kakashi yelled at them. "Run, get out of here." Kakashi struggled to get free, but the water was too heavy and he wasn't able to make any moves. He watched in horror as his captor's remaining hand formed a seal and a water clone formed in front of the original. "It's all over for your precious students, at Kakashi." Zabuza chuckled. The clone started to move towards the genins, and as it got closer, Sasuke pulled a kunai from his pouch. Once its foot touched the shore, Sasuke bolted towards it, shuriken flying and kunai raised. "Graf ugh!" The black-haired boy's yell was cut off as the water clone grabbed him, and in one deft motion, slammed him to the ground. The Uchiha gasped in pain and was subjected to a double dose of the stuff as the missing nin clone slammed its foot into the poor boy's back. Sasuke screamed out as he could feel the heel on his back crushing him. "Sasuke-kun!" Sakura yelled. She wanted to race toward him, but her feet wouldn't move. Sakura was frozen in fear as she watched the demon of the mist look towards her. However, that didn't stop her insane blonde teammate. A rush of yellow went by her, and Sakura could only watch as Naruto yelled hysterically towards their foe. Naruto knew what he was doing was stupid and one of the most idiotic things he has ever done. But these were his teammates and he really started to think of them as friends. They were his first friends, and no one was going to take them away. Naruto slid under the arm, aimed towards his head and aimed a kunai towards the leg holding Sasuke. He didn't expect the foot slamming into him and smacking off his headband, the kunai dropping harmlessly next to the leg. Rolling backwards to lessen the impact, Naruto watched as his headband was crushed under the Bunshin's free foot. "What are you doing? I told you to run." The submerged form of Kakashi yelled at them. "This guy is way out of your league." Sakura watched in fear as their sensei's eyes seemed to be filled with panic. "But Kakashi-sensei, we can't run. If we tried, he'd kill you and... Sakura was cut off as the real Zabuza cut her off. "Kill you all?" The nuke nin finished. You kids know nothing of being a ninja. When I was your age I already killed. The shock ran across the genin as Kakashi told them the story of the Kiri's genin exam. By the time it was done, Zabuza was looking up, a sick smile on his face. Ah, memories. And that is why you all need to go now. The trapped Jounin yelled. Naruto looked towards the clone and spoke with conviction. You told us those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. I'm not going anywhere. Growling in anger, Naruto grabbed a few shuriken and lobbed them at clone. The flying pieces were easily dodged, but it served its purpose of distracting the water clone long enough for Sasuke to grab the forgotten kunai and slash at the leg that was keeping him down. Not wanting to be dispelled, the clone backed away. Naruto watched as Sasuke grabbed the headband and jumped towards him. The blonde-haired ninja took the hitayate gratefully and tied it back on while keeping an eye on the water-maid clone. Sasuke, are you okay? Naruto asked. He got the usual HN as a response signifying an okay, and with that Naruto smirked as he started to form a plan. Good to hear. But we need to free Kakashi-sensei now. How are we supposed to do that, dope? Sasuke asked. Follow my lead, was Naruto's response. Before Sasuke could reply, the orange-wearing ninja was already running towards the Zabuza in front of him. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto called out. With that, a plume of smoke obscured everyone's vision, and instead of one there were 5 Narutos. The Narutos started to separate, hoping to catch the Zabuza clone from all sides. As Zabuza clone prepared himself and the onlookers watched, no one knew the real Naruto transformed himself into a windmill shuriken in one of the clone's bags. It was weird being transformed into a material object instead of transforming a part of his body. It felt like his real body was scrunched into a ball, and he had no senses except for touch and hearing. Thanks to that he was able to understand a rough image of where he was. His thoughts as the lonely shuriken that could were cut off as he heard his main clone, which shall lovingly be called Naruichi, you'll see him more throughout the story, yell out to his black-haired partner. Show time, Naruto thought. Sending an immense amount of chakra to his right hand, which was very awkward thanks to his position, he waited for Sasuke. Sasuke caught the flying windmill shuriken and noticed with a sharp eye that the one thrown to him was different. With a smirk, Sasuke pulled his own from his pack and quickly stuck the two next to each other, making it look like one. Nice plan, Naruto dobe. Let's see how it goes, he thought. Flicking his wrist, Sasuke opened up the shuriken and the fake behind it while calling out, Demon Wind Shuriken, Windmill of Shadows. Sasuke jumped into the air and with a loud cry hurled his weapon out. The Zabuza clone watched in mild fascination as the shuriken went for him, but a shocked expression crossed its face when the weapon curved and headed for the real Zabuza. The shuriken screamed towards the Miss Nin who held Kakashi tight in a water prison. Really? You think that can work against me? Zabuza plucked the windmill shuriken easily through the air as it went towards him. However, he was surprised to see another shuriken flying towards him. A second one, in the shadow of the first. Sasuke and Naruichi smirked as the transformed Naruto spiraled towards Zabuza. Clang! Zabuza lazily smacked the second shuriken up, making it fly above him with the first shuriken. The people on shore had a mix of emotions. Tazuna and Sakura were in complete shock. He just swatted the attack away. Naruichi felt like face-palming, and Sasuke was in between. He could have dodged to the side, he could have ducked, he could have even jumped. But no, he smacked Naruto into the sky. He is so going to be pissed. And right on cue everyone turned their heads up as a puff of smoke grabbed their attention. Son of a bitch, that hurt my ears. You know how bad that rang through my ears. Everyone watched as Naruto's body appeared. His body was upside down, right hand in a gun position pointing towards the Miss Nin, his left hand gripping the other for support. Flashback. Naruto had just gotten back home from another D rank and was very annoyed. He spent his day doing those missions, chores, and his nights training to be able to use the signature move of Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho. After learning he could somewhat use Luffy's move, he delved deeper into the shows he watched searching for something he could use. He couldn't do much at his level, but he found something. After grabbing a ramen cup to eat, Naruto ran out towards a training ground. He had a vague idea of what to do to get the move to work, but it would take time. So Yusuke looked like he focused all his spiritual energy on his pointer finger. Like hell, I have that kind of control. Maybe if send an immense amount of chakra to my forearm and then slowly siphon that off into my pointer finger, I can mimic what I saw. Hours upon hours Naruto practiced the move, his arm totally numb at his side. As he saw daylight breaking upon the horizon, he was able to put together somewhat of a checklist to be able to even produce the move, and it went. Flashback END. Step 1. Collect and send a lot of chakra to my right forearm, check. Naruto thought. Luckily he started doing that beforehand, because even for him this took a lot of chakra to do. Step 2. Target lock and start sending stored chakra towards pointer finger. As Naruto thought this, he started push the as much chakra as he could to his finger. The end of his fingers started to shine, slowly glowing brighter and brighter. Step 3. Push almost all stored chakra into singled out spot. Leave last bit of the chakra as the trigger and point, aim, and be ready. Naruto's pointer finger glowed brightly as chakra started to form around it, encompassing it in a small blue ball. Luckily he was able to do this the quickest he ever had, because this wasn't the fastest process, yet. He was just glad his opponent was surprised. Okay, you eyebrow-less bastard, hope you're ready for this. Zabuza's eye twitched at that comment and was ready to yell back, but was cut off. Naruto used the last bit of chakra as his trigger and sent it out as hard as he could towards his finger while he let go of his control of the massive chakra at the end. The result. Ray Gun, Spirit Gun. Naruto yelled. A small blue blast of chakra rocketed from his finger with such force that it pushed him a few feet higher. Zabuza watched in morbid fascination as the blue bullet of chakra careened towards him and his prisoner. Not wanting to find out what that attack was capable of, the sword wielder jumped away, letting go of his jutsu. Naruto fell from the sky, a smile on his face before his arm exploded in pain. Graph! The boy screamed as he plunged down into the water. His final vision was of his sensei standing in front of him before he passed out. So you have any idea what he did? No, Sasuke-kun, but I know I've seen it before. I have too. It's from that TV show that is on. Naruto awoke to the sound of his teammates talking. Cracking one eye open, he saw Sasuke and Sakura sitting over him. Turning his head slightly, he saw his silver-haired sensei sleeping on a bed, making him notice he was lying on a comfy mattress on the ground. Ugh, guys, I can hear you, Naruto spoke, his arm throbbing. Sasuke and Sakura looked down at their blonde-haired teammate and slowly helped him into a sitting position. Where are we? Naruto asked. We are at Tazuna's house, Sakura replied. Naruto nodded and slowly stood up. Dobe, what was that move that you used? Naruto looked over to Sasuke to see him stand up and lean against Kakashi's bed. Which one? You know which one I'm talking about, Sasuke growled. I know that it's just fun to piss you off. Naruto sat on the side of their sensei's bed and massaged his sore arm. You ever seen Yu Yu Hakusho? He received a nod, so he continued. What you just saw was Yusuke Urameshi's main move, the Ragon. I try to use his move my own way, like I am with the Luffy move. Teach it to me. You know what, Sasuke, you can go fu. Naruto's anger was cut off as he felt a hand on his shoulder. Naruto looked over to see Kakashi grab onto his shoulder, trying to placate him. Kakashi-sensei, you're up, huh? What happened? You passed out after using that move that I will hope you won't use again until you have more chakra control, and you, Sasuke, I'm going to say this now, do not attempt that move. Sasuke gave him a confused look. Even Naruto was a bit puzzled. I'll tell you after we discuss something, Kakashi stated. And with that, the discussion of Zabuza's death was discussed. With the new knowledge in mind, we now find our lovable genin in a forest looking at their sensei with a confused look. So we are climbing trees? Sakura asked. Kakashi nodded to them with his patented eye smile in place. Yes, Sakura, that is correct. The young ninja looked at the tree and back at their sensei, doing it a few times, before Kakashi sighed and motioned them to watch. Shifting his crutch, he made the ram seal and started to focus chakra to his feet. Once he did that, he proceeded to make his students drop their jaws in amazement, watching their silver-haired sensei walk up the tree completely parallel to the ground. So this is your guys' training. Channel chakra to your feet and be able to walk all the way up this tree. Kakashi explained. He then threw down a kunai at each of their feet. Use those to track your progress. I suggest a running start to help get momentum. Naruto grabbed the kunai from the ground and watched as his teammates started to gather their chakra. Shrugging, he put his hands the ram seal and directed as much chakra as he could to his feet. Focusing on his tree, Naruto pushed off and ran forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 dash. Crack, boom. The blonde ninja was shot off his tree and hit the ground, rolling to a stop, his eyes swirled in dizziness. Someone get the license of that car? Naruto groaned out. Kakashi's sweat dropped and walked to where Naruto was lying in a heap. He nudged the down boy with his toe, getting a groan in response. Shaking his head, Kakashi looked to see Sasuke jump off after 5 or 6 steps and backflip to the ground. Well, that sure was easier than I thought, Kakashi heard. Looking up, he saw Sakura lounging on a branch, a smile on her face. Well, look at that, seems Sakura is closer to being Hokage than you, Naruto. Naruto flinched angrily as he got up. And who knows, maybe she can avenge the Uchiha clan. Sasuke's fist clenched, causing it to crack. But then again, from what I see, Sakura is already tired, Kakashi said, cutting off Sakura, who was about to yell at him for insulting her. Sasuke-kun. Here's the thing, all of you come by me so I can finish what I was about to say in the house. You, Sakura, Kakashi said, pointing at Sakura, have some of the best chakra I have ever seen in a genin. Sakura perked up at that, but her happiness was cut short when she heard, but you have the stamina of a 3-year-old. Sasuke and Naruto face faulted at the bluntness of how he said that, while Sakura went from shocked to extremely angry. Kakashi, however, continued, you, Sasuke, are in the middle of these two. You have moderate chakra control for a genin, which is good, and you have a higher chakra reserves than average. That's good, but we'll work on the control, and you have a bigger problem that we need to fix. A very big problem. Sasuke looked perplexed. From what he just heard, he was the best out of all of them, but his smirk was shot down when he heard that last part. You have the biggest superiority complex and a one-track mind of an adolescent preschooler. Oh, and the stubbornness of a donkey, and… Alright, I get it. Enough with my faults and move down the line, you ass, Sasuke growled out, his eye twitching dangerously. Naruto tried to hide snickering in the background, but stopped immediately when Sasuke glared at him. Naruto held up his hand, saying, hey, I have faults too. Yes, you do, Naruto, Kakashi agreed. Which is why I came to you last. I want to explain to you why I told Sasuke not to even attempt what you did. In fact, I don't want you to do it until you have more chakra control. You, Naruto, have more chakra reserves than should be possible in a genin. In fact, you may have more than me in a few years, and right now you're very close to beating some chunin in chakra capacity. Naruto grinned while Sasuke's eye twitched some more, but that's the thing, Naruto, you have no control, at all. Kakashi deadpanned. Ha! In your face, you orange bastard. Wipe that shit-eating grin off your face. Sasuke yelled in one of the most uncharacteristic things he has ever done. The wind howled as the forest became completely quiet. Sakura, Naruto, and even Kakashi had wide eyes and mouths hanging in shock as Sasuke registered what he just did. Blushing in embarrassment, Sasuke crossed his arms over his chest, trying to regain his composure and fned. Yes, as I was saying, Kakashi continued, looking warily at his charges. They're all insane. So Naruto, you have a lot of chakra, which was probably why that spirit gun was able to even be used. You basically overcharged your chakra and shot it out, and because you have so much chakra you didn't really feel a drain, but due to the overload you probably tore your arm up pretty bad. That's why, Sasuke, I said do not attempt that move. For one, you don't have nearly enough chakra, and two, imagine how bad that must have hurt our blonde idiot. I can say for myself that he heals pretty fast, one of his few talents for some reason, and with his great way to take pain and heal, imagine what would happen to you with less chakra and the inability to heal fast. Sasuke nodded and reluctantly agreed. The jutsu seemed to him more bad than good. He'll stick with his fire jutsu, then blow off his arm. Naruto also nodded, promising to himself that he'd put that move on hold until he could get a little more control. Kakashi looked at his student and smiled. Now here's the deal, I want you all to be able to do this tree climbing in 2 days. Reach the top of the tree and I'll tell you what, the 3 ninjas' ears perked up. I'll train each of you individually in something specific. An advanced training exercise, each. Kakashi looked up to Sakura. You too, Sakura, you may have reached that branch, but you're already tired. Kakashi turned to walk away but looked behind his back and said, oh, by the way, think of this as a team building exercise, because I'm not teaching any of you until you all can run up and down that tree to my liking. Ja-ni. And with that said, he shunshined away in a swirl of leaves. 2 days later. Kakashi whistled as he strolled to where his students should be training. As he reached the clearing, he was a bit surprised to see no one there, but his musing were cut off as 3 kunai landed in front of him. Smirking to himself, Kakashi looked up and saw Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto each on top of their own respected trees. So sensei, I think we may be ready for that extra training. Chapter 5, Hi-ho Hi-ho. It's off to fight we go. Smirking to himself, Kakashi looked up and saw Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto each on top of their own respected trees. So sensei, I think we may be ready for that extra training. Kakashi looked at each of his students individually before walking and handing each of them an orange book. Because of his reading habits during meetings, and the fact that the book he read around them was orange, him giving them each an orange book ended, with every one of his students trying to crush and stomp on him. What the hell is this, you perverted excuse for a human? Sakura yelled, trying to crush his face with the spine of the book. Shinero. Die die die. You silver-haired horn dog. Kakashi slipped away from their justice and watched silently as they beat the ground, the dust they blew up shrouding whatever vision they had. So are you done? Kakashi asked. The 3 genin looked up in shock before grumbling and getting back in line. So now that you are calmed down, let me explain. Those books aren't what you think they are. In fact, why would I even give you my precious? Kakashi stated, pulling his Ika out of apparently nowhere. Team 7's sweat dropped but stayed silent so that he could continue. Anyways, if you would calm down, this first part is individual, so Kakashi made 2 Kagebunshin and continued, each of you follow one of me and let's get started. With Sakura. One of the Kakashis brought Sakura to an empty part of the forest away from the 2 boys and motioned for her to open the book. Sakura looked down and opened the cover and watched as a piece of paper fell down. She picked up the paper and then tried to flip the pages of the rest of the book, but to no avail. It seemed like the book, other than the cover, was completely glued together. As she pulled and tugged with all her might, the Kakashi with her started to chuckle before saying, "Try reading that paper in there." Sakura glared at him before looking at the slip of paper. "Dear Sakura, for your training exercise, we are going to be working on your stamina and body." Sakura read with some confusion. "Kakashi-sensei, what do you mean work on my stamina and body?" Kakashi looked at her and then walked in front of her. Charging some chakra to his hand, he then flicked her on the forehead and sent her sprawling on the ground. "That is what I mean, dear Sakura. If you were Naruto or even Sasuke, you would have just had your head knocked back. You, however, have the strength of a new academy student. In fact, I'm surprised that no one has ever told you this. I have read on your dietary habits, and that's going to change as well. Once you are at my satisfactory level of physical ability, you can open that book." Kakashi picked up the pink-haired girl and I smiled. For some reason Sakura believed that smile would be the greatest thing she would ever hate for this training. With Sasuke. Sasuke looked over the paper that fell out of his book, rereading it over and over again. Looking at his sensei, he finally spoke. "Meditation, you want me to meditate?" Sasuke asked, unbelieving what he read. The Kakashi nodded and smiled. He walked over to the genin and sat in a lotus position, gesturing for his student to join. Sasuke looked at him strangely before sitting across him in the exact position. "I need strength, and this does nothing to give me strength. Just teach me a jutsu," and Sasuke was cut off as a hand smacked him across the head. Reeling in pain and surprise, the dark-haired boy looked up in anger. The white-haired sensei looked Sasuke dead in the eyes and started to speak. "That is your problem. You think that a jutsu makes you strong, you think you deserve the power that many work for. You do not ask for training, you demand moves, you have become spoiled and have no conscience telling you what you are doing. That is what we will be working on as your training exercise. When you are able to understand a little more about yourself, then that book will open. And that book there, Sasuke, holds the real training." Sasuke flinched at every insult to his personality as Kakashi spoke. He could feel himself getting angrier and angrier, but as his sensei finished his speech he could see truth he never thought about. "So, I need to do this because I need to understand myself?" Kakashi nodded, letting him finish. "And once I'm able to meditate to a point of your liking, then you will let me read the book, huh?" Again Sasuke received a nod. Looking from the book, the note, and back to his sensei, Sasuke nodded and closed his eyes before saying, "I want to see how this meditation goes, and I want to know what is in that book." The Kakashi nodded a bit before watching the Uchiha stalk away. "Naruto can transform better than any illusion. But you have an illusion you need to confront for yourself. It's time you got rid of it," Sasuke, the Kakashi whispered so that no one could hear him. With Naruto. You're kidding, right? No, Naruto, this is what you need to do. Naruto looked at his paper, then at the lake that he was lead to. So you're saying that my control for chakra is that bad, that I need to do another chakra control exercise? Naruto yelled out while pointing at his paper. The Kakashi he was with looked it over as it read, "Dear Naruto, your chakra control is horrible. No, I'm serious, it's really bad. An academy student has better chakra control than you. I know it is due to your little tenant, but still, wow. So, we will be working on the chakra control exercise, water walking." Kakashi looked over the paper at the blonde ball of energy and pointed towards the lake. Are you kidding me? This is bullshit. How come it seems like I need remedial work? Naruto ranted. Well, I could just make you go into the water. You remember Seningoroshi, 1,000 Years of Pain, right Naruto? The Scarecrow Ninja asked. Naruto blurred to the water's edge, a frightened look on his face. The Kakashi laughed evilly and walked towards the edge by Naruto. So this exercise is just like tree walking, as in you need to use chakra at different intervals to let yourself stick and unstick the surface so you can walk. This, however, is different. Naruto watched as his sensei calmly walked onto the surface as if walking on ground. The gentle waves made the Jounin's body bob slightly up and down, but it seemed to Naruto that he didn't seem affected. As you can see, like with tree climbing, I stick to the water's surface. Well, sensei, it shouldn't be that hard, right? Like you said, I only have about Chunin level chakra, so it won't take me that long to master this. Just like the tree climbing, Naruto said with a grin. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I kind of lied about your chakra level, the Kakashi replied while scratching his head. Naruto looked at him strangely and was about to speak, but was cut off. Naruto, I'm actually surprised you were able to get tree climbing along with the others so well. If I told you this in front of the others, like Sasuke, then we might have had a problem. Naruto, you have more chakra than me already, maybe 3 times more, and that's why this exercise is going to be extremely hard for you. Good luck controlling it. Silence filled the air. A lone crow flitted away, its call sounding suspiciously like a hoo. A hoo, 1. Shit, day 1. It was the first day after they got their notes on what to do, and already Sakura was in pain. She didn't know if she had the real Kakashi or not, but she desperately wanted to kill the one that was telling her to do 50 more push-ups. Come now, Sakura-chan, it's only been 1 day of the conditioning and you're already tired? The Kakashi stated while walking around the pink-haired genin who was currently trying not to pass out. I told you before that we have about a week to train for the upcoming battle. You 3 spent 2 days already learning tree climbing, and shouldn't that be enough? Sakura screamed. Her sensei only chuckled and ordered her to start running around the clearing when she was done. She could only cry silently in her head. Actually, she was crying in real life in despair as her inner self screamed out ways to torture a silver-haired pervert. She had to wonder how her other teammates were doing. As she thought that, we find the young prodigy, Uchiha Sasuke, sitting in a lotus position. If one were to look at him for his appearance, they would have thought he was the perfect example of calm. However, in his mind this was going on through his head, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid. This is stupid. As his thoughts escalated to dangerous levels, a finger started to poke and prod poor Sasuke's forehead. You good yet? You good yet? How's it going? Ha! 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 Shut the hell up! Sasuke screamed, jumping to his feet. Pulling out shuriken, his eyes roamed the area in a craze, searching for his victim. Not seeing anyone there, he started to calm down. He closed his eyes and breathed slowly, trying to block out all that was around him. That was until he felt more poking on his head. Naruto heard a scream of rage echo through the forest as he went to step on the water again. That was odd, he said. Shrugging, Naruto channeled chakra into his feet and stepped slowly onto the lake. His foot stayed on top of the water, and with that he placed his other foot on the surface. Immediately, once his full weight was on the top, his body shot off the surface and he was thrown through the air. This is going to hurt. Naruto landed in heap on the ground with his arms and legs a tangled mess. He was so sick and tired of this stupid exercise, and he was starting to think that his, in his sensei's words, remarkable chakra capacity was nothing but trouble. Ma, is Naruto-kun having trouble with his exercise? Naruto turned to the voice and watched as the Kakashi he was with walked towards him. You know, I wonder how long it will take you to be able to walk on water. Who knows how long I have to train you till it's time to fight Zabuza again. Or maybe you'll just fall into the water and drown. Oh, the possibilities. Fuck you, sensei. Day 2. Sakura dodged another rain of kunai and cartwheeled onto the side of a tree, sticking to it in the process. Her rest was cut short as she had to jump from tree side to tree side as deadly weapons shot towards where she would be standing. She flipped over and put herself flat to the ground, avoiding a shuriken, and then pushed herself off the ground as another flying piece of metal stuck right under her. Sweat dripped from her forehead as she ran faster to avoid the deadly projectiles of doom, not even noticing as she jumped over the meditating form of Sasuke. Sasuke had spent all night trying to find the calm in his mind. With his eyes closed and his body relaxed, he could feel his mind slipping. His natural thinking tried to keep his mind focused on the things around him, but Sasuke could feel his grip on his surroundings slowly diminish. The sounds of Naruto splashing in the water to the side, Sakura's heavy breathing as she ran for her life, were starting to fade away. With the sounds now gone, Sasuke found himself in a state peace. Noting that he couldn't hear anything, Sasuke opened his eyes and found that he wasn't in the forest anymore. He gasped in shock and horror as his eyes took in where he was. He was home, only he saw it as he saw it those many years ago. In black and white. Hearing footsteps, Sasuke turned around and saw a small figure approach him. It resembled a child of about 5 years old, only you could not distinguish any of its features. Nothing to tell if it was a boy or a girl, it was just a black image of a child with a white outline. It seemed to look up at Sasuke and said one word, "Hi." Sasuke opened his eyes, gasping, garnering the attention of his teammates. Gathering himself, he closed his eyes hoping to relax after that piece of drama. Naruto stared at his two teammates from the shore of the lake. Sakura's progress was going amazing, and even Sasuke was doing well. He felt like he was lagging behind. Getting to his feet, Naruto put his hands in the ram seal and gathered more chakra towards his feet. Looking in concentration towards the lake, Naruto said, "I can do this. Just one more time and I know I can do this." Putting one foot on top of the lake, Naruto slowly started to walk forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3, Naruto would not close his eyes. He found that if he kept his eyes open and focused on what he was doing, then he would not mess up his chakra as he would normally. A smile started to blossom on his face as he stared to reach the middle of the lake. I so have this Dao dash." The blonde ninja's foot sunk and his body tumbled into the river. Kakashi sighed as he watched his 3 students from the trees, lazily tossing weapons at his pink-haired student. He wanted them to at least try and get the exercises done soon. They didn't have much time till Zabuza healed. At most 5 or 4 days, maybe. Kakashi jumped down from the tree and yelled for them to stop training. Maybe, just maybe, he can motivate them enough to finish soon. At the Tazuna household, things were normal, well as normal as they could be with 4 ninja in the house. Naruto and Sasuke ate their food like no tomorrow while Sakura did her best to lift the chopsticks. Kakashi sat in his chair reading his book while not caring what anybody else was doing. Tsunami, the daughter of old man Tazuna, fussed over the young ninjas, very happy to have the company. When Naruto and Sasuke lurched forward, throwing up the contents of their stomachs, Tazuna laughed loudly at their pain. The only one who seemed to be in a dark mood was the small boy at the end of the table. "So sensei, do you think we are progressing, that we will be able to beat those 2? Naruto asked. Before Kakashi could answer though, the Inari suddenly spoke. "Forget it." What? Naruto demanded, looking at the boy. "You're just going to die," the kid declared. "Inari." Tsunami said, clearly embarrassed. "There's no way you can win against Gato," the boy declared with some finality. "Oi, shut up. I'll show you what a hero can really do," Naruto started. "Naruto! Quit it!" Sakura yelled at the blonde, only for him to ignore her. "I'm going to be Hokage. Where I'm from, those are heroes, and that's what I'm going to be," Naruto declared. "Whatever. There is no such thing as a hero," Inari said, standing up. "Leave before you die." Naruto seemed to froth at the mouth as he became angrier, but his fury was placated as he heard Tsunami start to speak. And speak she did, because when she was done, Naruto couldn't wait to get out of that house. He had training to do, and he didn't even turn when he heard Sakura yell for him to come back. A lone figure entered a grassy clearing. Her silky dark hair brushed past her waist as she turned back and forth through the foliage. She hummed lightly to the song of the birds and the light rolling of waves from the nearby lake. As she smiled at a bird that landed on her shoulder, she noticed a flock of the little scavengers that seemed to be perched on a blonde log. Walking slowly over to what appeared to be a human figure, the girl was surprised to see the blonde ninja that gave her master a scare. The boy seemed to be sleeping, and when the birds dispersed she could see the boy seemed to be shirtless. Fighting down a blush, she shook her head and steeled herself as she reached down. "Wake up. You'll catch a cold if you stay out here." Naruto shook his head as he felt a light touch on his body. Looking up, he noticed a girl maybe a year older than him looking intently as he lay on the ground. Yawning, Naruto looked up to see who woke him. His face took on a small blush as he looked at the girl that stood over him. She wore a pale pink kimono with a white wrap. Her beautiful black hair run down her shoulders and she had a caring smile on her face. Her skin was a milky perfection to the young boy's eyes. A giggle pierced through Naruto's thoughts and he blushed more from embarrassment. "So Nei-san, this enough herbs?" Naruto asked. Naruto learned that the girl's name was Haku and that she was getting herbs to heal someone from her family. "Yes, Naruto-kun, that should be enough," Haku giggled. Naruto smiled and put the plants into the basket Haku was carrying and sat down. Haku looked at her blonde-haired companion and asked, "So what are you doing out here?" "Training." "Oh, but you already look strong enough though," the black-haired girl replied. "I need to get stronger. I need to prove to his kid that there are heroes out there still," Naruto said with fire in his eyes. Haku was taken aback for a second before smiling. Picking up the basket, Haku stood up and watched as the blonde boy grabbed his jacket. "Do you have anyone precious to you, Naruto-kun?" Naruto raised his eyebrow at the girl's question and thought about it. After a moment the boy nodded. "That is good to hear. Did you know that if you have someone precious worth fighting for, then you will no doubt get stronger for them," Haku said smiling and started to walk away. Naruto smiled at the mysterious person and stood up. Walking towards Haku, he tripped on a stray root and started to fall towards the unsuspecting guest. "By the way, just so you know, I'm a Bodash," Haku started to say as the secret hunter Nin of Zabuza turned around. The words were cut off as Naruto fell and took the upper half of Haku's kimono with him. The ploy of Haku being a boy died then and there as Naruto lay on the ground, eyes wide as saucers, and Haku stared down at what the blonde ninja was looking at. "Boobs. Kaya." A blushing Haku covered her body while Naruto sputtered and cried out apologies. Ripping off his orange jacket, Naruto covered the almost crying girl with his coat. Haku mumbled a thanks and scurried away, passing a confused Sasuke. The black-haired boy could only stare in confusion as he came into the clearing. There in the middle of the woods was a blushing Naruto that was staring into space. "Oi dobe, you okay?" Sasuke asked. The only response he got was Naruto muttering boobs over and over again, causing the Uchiha to blush and drag the blonde-haired boy back to the Tazuna homestead. It was the third day of the team's individual and right now all of them have progressed amazingly in Kakashi's eyes. As of now Sakura was up against a tree trying to catch her breath, her eyes focusing in and out. Kakashi guessed he would give her some time before he sat them around for the unveiling. Sasuke was on the ground in the lotus position again, only this time he seemed to be in a perfect meditative state. In Sasuke's mind, however, there was a bit of turmoil going on. He was standing in his home again, with it being the same black and white hue as it was back then. In front of him was the strange childlike figure sitting before him on a bench that was up against one of Sasuke's clan houses. Sighing to himself, the Uchiha sat down next to the weird unclassifiable figure. "So, any chance you will tell me who you are?" Sasuke asked. Hee oh silly, you already know who I am." "Oh really?" Sasuke curved an eyebrow up. The child giggled to itself and seemed to nod. "I thought you would have recognized me," it said as it looked up. With a shake of the Uchiha's head, the figure grumbled a bit, then seemed to pout before swinging its legs and jumping off the bench. "How mean. It's not like I'm someone you don't know." In fact, the child seemed to smile in an "I know what you don't" kind of way. Walking away, Sasuke followed the child to a house that he started to recognize. "Why are you taking me to my house?" Well, this is where you will get to remember me." "And how is that going to work?" Sasuke received no answer but continued to follow the figure into what was his room. Walking around it, he became lost in the old memories that seemed to flood into his mind. That was when he noticed the childlike figure standing by his dresser. Walking up to one of the drawers, he opened it only to fall back in shock. The child grabbed the item that caused so much fear and surprise in the Uchiha before placing it atop its head. "You! Why you can't be?" Sasuke sputtered as the item atop the child's head seemed to glow. There before the fallen boy's eyes the figure seemed to gain an appearance. Hair seemed to grow and form. It grew longer and longer till it reached the child's back. The face seemed to shape more and started to show features while the body slimmed and formed itself. A little girl of about 5 was now staring back at Sasuke, her coal-colored eyes dancing with mirth while the blue hairband with a small bow glowed. Her clothes were the exact same as Sasuke's, only smaller, and she lacked the white arm bands that were on the aghast Uchiha's arms. Why are you here? What could you possibly do being here?" Sasuke muttered as he looked down at the ground, eyes shut tight and fists closed shut. "What do you want?" Sasuke screamed at the girl. The girl could only smile sadly as she walked forward to place a small hand against Sasuke's cheek. "They need to know," she whispered. Sasuke's eyes widened in shock at what the girl said. "You know that sensei knows, isn't it time to let go?" "No, she told me I needed to stay. She said that if it got out that I would be in trouble with them," Sasuke whispered. "They are gone." The girl snapped. "What can they do now?" "I have been trapped watching as you grow colder and more like him." The girl lifted Sasuke's face to hers, staring fiercely into his eyes. "We will no longer lie. When the time comes it will break. Prepare yourself for what needs to happen." With that the girl walked backwards as Sasuke could only nod his head blankly. "You have found me, and soon you will have found some semblance of peace. We will be in contact. After all, I need to keep an eye on you." Sasuke opened his eyes slowly as he tried to comprehend what just happened. Walking next to Sakura, he leaned against the tree while the pink-haired girl was too exhausted to notice her crush next to her. Kakashi noticed this and smiled sadly. More things were going to change and he only hoped everyone could handle the change. Speaking of change, the silver-haired man looked towards the small lake as the blonde ninja seemed to run across the water. He asked the boy what happened to his coat the other day, but the boy only blushed and said he was going to eat and run. He somehow had a spare jacket that was exactly the same, which frightened the silver-haired ninja a little, and was now clothed and on the water. He now saw why he wanted to leave. His progress was astounding. The boy's chakra reserves were enormous, and for Naruto to have been able to grasp water walking in 3 days was amazing. The boy could make hundreds of clones, and the chakra reserves to do that is astounding, possibly Kage level, but the drawback to levels like that is extremely poor chakra control. That's why being Hokage was no joke. Naruto walked calmly over the water's surface, making sure to regulate his chakra whenever he felt the water shift. Taking a few hesitant jumps, Naruto was delighted to see that he didn't fall. The boy smiled to himself, then jogged over to the bank of the lake. Walking over to the tree where his teammates were, Naruto pulled out the orange book that wouldn't show him anything in the beginning. "So you think we are ready to see what our books are supposed to say?" asked the blonde ninja. "I think so. We will have to ask Sensei," Sakura said between breaths. Sasuke nodded while pulling out his own orange book. As Sakura pulled out hers, all 3 ninja noticed the silver-haired Jounin land in front of them. "Well, I think you all deserve to see what's in the book now, Annie." Team 7 nodded their heads at Kakashi's words. The Jounin shrugged his shoulders before making a hand sign and muttering, "Kai." The 3 genin looked at their books and watched as the covers of each book shimmered, each one showing a different title. "Your Brain and You, for Dummies." "What? So you want to be a pyromaniac, for dummies? Get fast because you're slow, for dummies." "Oi! Why is slow written like that? Does this book think I'm stupid?" Naruto yelled at Kakashi while Sakura and Sasuke flipped through the pages of their own books, a little peeved at the dummies part. "Naruto, these books are training material I specifically bought after our little fight for the bell test and is made for your individual strengths." Naruto raised his eyebrow at that statement and Kakashi sighed before opening the boy's book and showing him the first chapter. "Your book will help you work on speed and form to help with taijutsu. It also gives a few taijutsu attacks." Sasuke's is, well, that is a bit self-explanatory. It focuses on fire-based moves for ninjutsu, while Sakura's is on genjutsu. The ninja looked at their books in wonder before diving into the material. It was later into the night when Kakashi brought them home. With a quick meal from Tsunami's amazing cooking and the oddly reserved Inari watching the ninja eat, Team 7 retired to bed. Well, most of the ninja went to bed while Naruto stayed up reading as much as he could before passing out, the book draped across his chest. "Thanks for watching Naruto Tsunami," Kakashi said. "Oh, it's no trouble. I found the poor boy snoring away with a book over him." "The poor thing must have read himself to sleep," Tsunami replied, giggling at the young boy's antics. Kakashi smiled at that before heading off with the rest of his team towards the bridge. Tsunami watched them go with a smile before heading back inside to wash dishes. "Inari," she called. "What do you want for lunch?" Receiving a reply of fish, she chuckled before getting the lunch ready. She did not notice as two grungy-looking samurai walk up to her door. She was surprised, however, when they sliced then kicked her door open. "Is this the lady Gato wants?" a samurai with tattoos asked to his partner. "Yes, it seems so." "Hurry, grab her before she causes a fuss," the one wearing a skull cap replied. Grabbing the young woman, the two samurai tied her up as she screamed in protest. She only prayed that her son was outside so they wouldn't get her. "Mom? What's that noise?" Inari asked as he came through the back door. He was surprised to see two men tying up his mother. "Hey, what are you doing to my mom?" Inari screamed out. "Get lost, kid, before we cut you." Inari backed away before remembering what Naruto yelled at him and what Kakashi said to him after Naruto left. With a determined face he grabbed a nearby pole and rushed forward yelling at the two men. "Looks like we get to use our swords for some fun, huh?" The two swordsmen ran forward ignoring the cries of Tsunami whilst they unleashed their swords on a log. "Wow, look at that. You know you didn't have to hurt the log so much." "The log did nothing to you," Naruto said as he lowered the shaking form of Inari. "Good job, Inari. You're a true hero, you know that." "Hey, who do you think you are?" The samurai rushed forward while Naruto scoffed and tossed two shuriken at the men. They smirked as they blocked the weapons, but they didn't expect the shuriken to poof into smoke, or the two blows to the head from the blonde's clones. Naruto finished the two off by rolling forward and placing his hands on the floor. Springing himself up, Naruto shot out his legs and split them apart so that he caught both the men on their chins with his rising heels. Well, the book says that move is mostly used on a single opponent, but hey, when life gives you lemons, split them, Naruto grinned. "You did good, Inari. You're a hero for saving your mom, but now I have to go help out my own team." And with that Naruto raced out the door leaving the two shocked people. When Naruto got to the bridge he was surprised to find it in a deep mist, making it hard for him to spot his teammates. Looking around he noticed Sasuke in what looked to be dome of mirrors. He watched as Sakura threw kunai trying to free Sasuke, but then the person in the mirror knocked the two kunai away, getting out of the mirror a bit. This was his chance. Grabbing a few shuriken, he lobbed them at the masked person, knocking them out of their mirror. Jumping forward, Naruto rushed into the mirrors to help Sasuke. "Yo!" Naruto greeted. Sasuke looked at the blonde-haired boy before checking to see if he was real by poking Naruto. Nodding, Sasuke reeled back and smacked Naruto across the head. "Ow, what the hell? What are you doing in here, idiot?" Sasuke yelled out. "I was trying to help your sorry ass," Naruto yelled back. "Yeah, well, now guess what? Now we are both trapped in here. What did you plan after that, huh?" Naruto blinked a few times and with a surprised "oh," both boys were peppered with Senbon. "It is sad that you are now in my prison. Now you will never escape," the ninja said sadly. And with that the fight was on. Naruto tried his best to throw out clones so he could get cover to charge his Ragon, but whenever he tried, the hunter Nin would always interrupt him while destroying all of the clones. Sasuke was trying to dodge the needles while weaving through the orange clones using them as cover. Things were not going well. Kakashi looked in apprehension at the ice prison that the hunter formed. He could tell Naruto was in there as well, but he couldn't tell if that was good or bad. Focusing on his own fight again, Kakashi focused his Sharingan trying to see where Zabuza was, but to no avail. The mist was too thick, so he had to just rely on his ninja senses. Ducking under a swing from the huge Buster Sword, Kakashi slipped between Zabuza's legs and tried to slice the other man's back. His attack was stopped when the missing Nin spun around and brought his sword to shield himself. Narrowing his eyes, Kakashi used a quick Sun Shin, body flicker, to try and get behind Zabuza again. This time his roundhouse went through and his kick sent the other ninja flying forward back into the mist. Zabuza shook himself from the kick and brought his sword up to defend himself. As the Konoha ninja came forward, Zabuza threw his sword out like he did when he first met these people. The sword sang true as it whistled towards Kakashi, and the man widened his eyes and ducked, barely getting under the blade as it passed and lodged itself into the concrete next to him. Zabuza was at his sword in a burst of speed and went to kick Kakashi away. This was a battle of skills between the two. No fancy tricks, no flashy jutsu, just pure fighting skills. Both knew that if things continued the way they were going, then they would be at a stalemate until someone slipped up, and from the looks of things, both of them wouldn't anytime soon. The idea of stepping things up went across both the veteran ninjas' minds as the two of them exchanged blows once again. Kakashi blurred through hand seals as he kicked Zabuza across the bridge. Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu. Water style, water dragon bullet technique. A massive amount of water gathered from the side of the bridge before forming into the form of a vicious dragon with glowing red eyes. It roared loudly before soaring through the air towards the airborne missing Nin. Zabuza widened his eyes as the water jutsu flew towards him and tries to right himself as he flew through the air. He only hoped his tool was doing better than him. Haku jumped from mirror to mirror, throwing as much needles as she could to stop the two boys in front of her from escaping the Makyu Hoso she created. She couldn't keep this up for long though, because her bloodline was taking up a lot of chakra and it seemed like the black-haired boy was dodging almost all of her needles. That was when she saw it. The black coal-like eyes of the ninja in front of her was no longer just black. They were red. Sharingan. Sasuke's eyes widened in surprise when the foreign ninja that was attacking them exclaimed the name of his bloodline. He should have noticed that the needles that were flying towards them seemed slower. Well, now that you have the Sharingan, do you think you can win? Sasuke heard the voice but did not pay notice to it at that moment. He had needles flying at him at full speed, so focus was kind of needed. Naruto watched in awe as his teammates seemed to dodge more needles than before while he still had trouble with dodging himself. The two ninjas started to gain the upper hand, and now that Sasuke could dodge and deflect more, Senbon and Naruto was able to start creating more clones that were able to score glancing blows on the masked Nin. But when they started to believe that they could win the fight, Haku decided to blur faster from mirror to mirror, raining needles upon the poor boys. Grag! Naruto screamed out in pain and fell to his knees. I'm sorry, but I need to end this now. I must become the tool my master needs from me. With that said, Haku threw another wave of Senbon towards the downed Naruto. Sasuke reacted, and before the now Sharingan wielder knew what happened, he fell to the ground as blood leaked from the puncture wounds. What have you done? Why did you jump in the way, you idiot? Naruto yelled out as he staggered forward. Unknown to Naruto, the voice in Sasuke's head was screaming the exact same thing. I don't know. My body just moved by itself, Sasuke said in between coughs. Naruto dropped down to his knees to try to get his teammate in a position so he wouldn't bleed to death all over the ground. Naruto, Sasuke coughed out, blood seeping out at each breath. What, you team? Naruto said, trying to hold back his tears. I wanted to avenge my clan. I wanted to know why he did it. Sasuke murmured. Itachi, he was the man I needed to kill. He was the one who I needed to confront. As Sasuke was telling Naruto the full ambition and who it was about, the blonde-haired boy noticed that Sasuke's body was starting to glow. He killed them all. But he was supposed to protect me. He was supposed to protect us. Father told us that he was my guardian, but why did he murder us all? Sasuke coughed again as blood splattered onto the ground. This wasn't supposed to be the way it broke. This wasn't what I wanted for us. The voice sounded in Sasuke's head. Naruto couldn't truly understand what Sasuke was rambling about because he was too shocked at what was slowly happening to Sasuke himself. His body started change before the blonde boy's very eyes, and he watched in complete awe. Sasuke's hair grew longer and the spikes in the back started grow down till it reached his back. Sasuke's body seemed to almost shrink a bit and his body seemed to grow kavya, almost like, no, it couldn't be. What really sent Naruto into shock was the face he knew. The face he went to school with all these years, started to distort and shape itself till it became rounder and feminine. Naruto, please continue my dream. Find Itachi and ask him why he abandoned me, why he abandoned his little sister, why did he abandon his Suki-chan? Sasuke. You? Naruto could only stare in shock as the body he held in his arms, his first friend and rival, the Uchiha Sasuke, became a girl. Our name is. Uchiha Suki, dope/fool. Suki whispered while her inner voice drawled along with her, not that anyone could hear her voice. I guess you're going to have to tell everyone. Great, now I have to die with your stupid expression in my mind, Naruto heard Sasuke, no Suki, chuckle out. And with that final barb, Uzumaki Naruto was left speechless for the first time in his life as he felt the girl in his arm fall limp. Is this the first time you have seen a friend die? Words, where were those words coming from? Naruto thought, his eyes starting to grow faint. I'm sorry you had to see that, but that is the life of a ninja, and for Zabuza-sama I will do my best. There, that voice goes again. Wait, it was him. That masked ninja who did this. Naruto's hands stared to shake. You should be honored. He was able to jump that fast in your dash. Shut up. Haku recoiled in shock at the animalistic growl. You. I'm gonna kill you. Naruto screamed out. Haku's head leaned back even through her mirror as an explosion of crimson chakra blasted from the blonde-haired boy. The ice prison glowed red as chakra swirled around Naruto's body. With his hands like claws, fangs bared, and red eyes staring forward, the crazed Naruto roared with all his fury, prepared for a new fight. Graph. Fuck my life. Okay, wow, this sure took a long time, and yeah, I made it super extra long because I've been away for so long. So here comes the conclusion to the wave arc, and gasp, Sasuke's a girl. Yes, I know I'm making Sasuke a girl may get me some or a lot of flames, but sorry guys, but I have barely seen any female Sasuke fics but numerous female Naruto fics. I guess I just got tired of the endlessness. But guys, don't worry, it's not like Naruto and Suki will suddenly go, oh my god, you're a girl, I love you. Haha, give me a little more credit. My main focus is on the story and I just want to build up everything as it goes. Just give the idea a chance, K. But anyways, this is my only FIC that is Femme Sasuke, so just try to bear with it cause it keeps the story that I had outlined in my head going. Aho means basically fool, so yeah, you see this a lot, happy face. Oh, and for being so patient with me I want to give you all a present. Coming soon. Breaker of Truth Episode 3, Imagination's First Step. You didn't let me, Kawarimi? Naruto shrugged his shoulders while rubbing his right hand. Come on G-san, you know I'm ready for a real mission. Naruto ducked low as the claw sliced inches above his face before back-flipping and slamming his toe into his attacker's chin. Naruto, get out of here. You don't know what you are up against. Naruto's body flew towards the sword-wielding ninja, Sasuke's fireballs in front of him swinging in circles. The clones around Naruto each took out an assortment of weapons copying their master. Let's get wild. Boy, you die today. Kakashi Sensei thigh. Naruto swiped his right hand at the arm holding the globe of water. Just as he touched the missing nin's arm, the world slowed and the water globe shattered with a loud ping. Mundus Specialis Ninja no Mahu. Clones. What is this? Eva saw the 5 Narutos rush forward. Already she could feel the energy that was coursing through him spring up as if it was being suppressed but suddenly released. Gaimon Cho Cho. Negi sprang forward with a shining right elbow thrust. What kind of competition are you talking about, Aju-san? Naruto watched as the girl with the maid costume and cat ears and tail rushed forward and seemed to slice through the girl he first fought. What kind of effed up battle is this? Keat slowly rose up from the ground, blood seeping from the wounds she got from Colonel's smash into the ground. I guess it's my defeat, you win, Daga's dash. I think it is my turn, Miss Ninja-san, Naruto blurred in front of Keat's form. Young boy, you surprise me greatly. For that I commend you. Colonel fired off ball of condensed gravitation magic at the approaching Naruto and his clones. I'm not done yet. Eat this raisin. Naruto rose slowly from the ground. Everyone tells me I'm too weak, but I'll show you. I'll show them all. Edit. And finally, my readers and reviewers, the time has come. I bring you 2 previews of 2 stories that I am hoping to get out. A little note on these 2. The first one is titled Shine On. This is a story that I thought of even before Behold the Mimic. I keep remembering it and forgetting it, but I finally decided to write it down. This FIC was inspired by countless hours of playing Gundam vs Gundam with my friends, Naruto, and a FIC that I read long ago. Don't know if it's still out there or who the author was, but if you read this one is thanks to you. And the second one, well, I'll let it explain itself. Shine On. Jumping from tree branch to tree branch, I focused all my power on getting away. Why? Please tell me the reason why they hate me. I was confused, angry, and so many things. I didn't care about anything around me, not even the fact that Irika-sensei was yelling at Mizuki to stop. The ground beneath felt cold as Irika looked down at me, tears in his eyes. The words he spoke were muted, yet I could still understand him. I relished in the fact that my flying knee sent him flying so far back, but I wasn't done yet. "Show me what you got, Kyubi. You Mizuki are screwed because this hand of mine glows with an awesome power. Its burning grip tells me to defeat you." I held my right hand out as the enormous amount of chakra focused onto it and started to heat up just as the scroll said. "Are you ready? Here I come." I don't know where the extra burst of speed came from, but I went with it, and before I knew it my right hand, white hot with chakra and power, was against Mizuki as I screamed. "Shining finger. I couldn't keep this up." I felt my control on the move starting to ebb away, but with a grunt of effort I sent a final push of chakra. This ended the move, and with that push the chakra in my shining white hand exploded out. But what surprised Mizuki, and me for that matter, was the fiery cloud that blossomed forth, shining from the exploded chakra. The burst of fire sent Mizuki's body shooting backward, while I stood there, the shining ball of fire dissipating before me. What a fitting name. Carpe diem. I nagged Kakashi to teach me that Chidori, and as we left the roof I hounded him down. He sighed and left me with one final tip, but told me don't get my hopes up. A move even better than Chidori? Hell yeah, I'm in Arrow Sennin. Who would have thought the perverted Jiraiya knew a move as powerful as Kakashi-sensei's Rasengan? So that's what it's called, and to think that old grandma wouldn't let me do it. I could see why now. That grove in the earth would have hurt like hell if it hit ya. Not necessarily as powerful as Arrow Sennin's, but I'm getting there. Kabuto, you prick. How could you betray Konoha? I was beyond pissed. I hated traitors, and this guy seemed to piss me off even more with that smirk of his. Give up, Naruto-kun. You can't beat me with that kind of sweeping motion. I growled and righted myself up from my dive. Oibachani, don't know if this works to get that necklace, but still watch me. Two of my clones burst from the ground and stabbed Kabuto in the palms of his and stomped on his feet to keep him steady. I didn't have a lot of time, so I worked fast. 3 hand seals blurred through before I gripped my downward-facing left hand with my right hand, but before that stance was complete I switched and had my left hand gripping my upward-facing right hand. The clone I made to my right nodded to me and stood at ready. Damn it, this move wasn't complete, but it would have to do. I could feel the chakra surrounding my hand become stronger while the chakra my clone was swirling complete. This move was in no way a smart idea, but hell if I would try. The two moves weren't meshing together but seemed to stack upon one another, but my time was short because even now the jutsus wanted to separate. My juttas weren't as strong as the people who taught me, but if putting them together made two halves a whole, well, God of luck help me. What the hell is that? Impossible. You tell me I'm the failure, well screw you, cause I'll show you what a failure can really do. My body was propelled forward by the pseudo-mixed jutsu, and as I reached Kabuto I could see the fear and awe in his eyes. This was going to rock. Razendori. See Bachan. Sometimes you just got to seize the day and work with what life gives ya. That's it for part 1. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.